to change topic, though, because we want to talk about change coming to Saudi Arabia. The world's biggest oil producer wants to be less dependent on one commodity and to boost its private sector. The country's 31-year-old deputy crown prince Mohammed bin Salman says he also wants to start opening up the conservative kingdom where cinemas are banned and women still aren't allowed to drive. How much does he want to open it up? Our chief international correspondent Lise Doucette is in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, and welcome to Riyadh, the capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And the question always is, when you discuss change here, is just how far and how fast will you go? Change, when it comes, is very cautious, very calculated, and very slow. But every Saudi I've spoken to here said in the visit of the last 2 weeks has said that they are seeing changes that they have never seen before. Things like more women getting into the workplace, things like a general entertainment authority, a ministry whose mission is described as bringing happiness to the kingdom. All of this, of course, is being forced on the royal rulers here because the jewel in the crown, the price of oil, crashed a few years ago, and that has had a huge impact on their revenues, so they have to reform. But by how much? In a moment we'll speak to someone who's been looking at these plans carefully. But first, how much is Saudi Arabia changing?
A moment many have waited for. They call him the artist of Arabs. Mohammed Abdu, allowed to sing live in his own country for the first time in years. It's the first of many concerts planned by a new ministry charged with bringing some fun to a conservative kingdom, one step at a time. Look at the crowd, all men. And some Saudis don't want women at concerts like this.
Yeah, it's too much and it's not good for the country.
But the pace of change is picking up. Dune bashing is one of the few thrills on offer at the weekend. There aren't any Saudi women here today. It's quite a ride. I'm sure they'd enjoy it. In this young country, 2/3 of people are under 30. The bright lights of Dubai or London are all too tempting. Now their rulers, including a 31-year-old deputy crown prince, are trying to encourage them to spend their time and money at home.
We are changing fast, but first of all, we have to have the women driving, and we have to have the cinema.
The winds of change started blowing from here. Rub Al Khali, the empty quarter, the world's richest oil fields. No other industry provides so much cash to the kingdom, 90% of its revenues. But low world prices cut those earnings in half. And that means an end to the state's largesse. When I went to see the powerful oil minister in the capital, Riyadh, he admitted it wouldn't be easy.
For sure, there will be pain. You know, the old adage, no pain, no gain, is very much at play here.
And they're already hurting, they tell me, especially in the middle class with the cuts in subsidies to fuel, to water.
For sure. And what those pains will do is they will mobilize people to do new things that they're not used to doing.
Saudis have enjoyed cheap petrol, lavish perks, no taxes. The economic plan is ambitious, some say too ambitious. In the heart of Riyadh, this is the world's biggest metro project to change the way people live, create jobs, including some for women. And there was equal opportunities for men and women to work here?
Definitely equal opportunities. We have the same working hours, the same loads. Everything is equal.
Progress takes different speeds, different countries or everything. I mean, maybe we're not as fast as people would like us to be, but we are going as good as it is for our own nation and our own citizens.
There have been plans to change this country before, so there's skepticism too. For the outside world, Saudi Arabia has long been viewed as a closed and conservative kingdom. It still is, but some things are clearly starting to change here. That doesn't include public discussion of its human rights record or any political reform.
But for the majority of Saudis, other issues seem to matter far more. So is this a plan which can work? I'm joined here by John Sakanakis, who's the Director of Economic Research at the Gulf Research Center here in Riyadh. You've been here for many years. Is the plan too ambitious?
I believe it's important to be ambitious, transformative, and it's important to look into the future. You have today a one-engine economy that has to have 3 engines to go forward.
But 3 engines, how quickly can they get to 3 engines? So dependent on this black gold, this oil, not so easy to diversify and develop the private sector.
Exactly. Now this is the difference between the old way and the new way. This is a private sector-led project that needs to have this inclusiveness, and it has to be timed in a short outline project so that everything can be done and people can see the benefits of this. The private sector can see its inclusiveness, and the businessmen throughout the world can see the greatest untold story, which is Vision 2030 and Saudi Arabia in particular.
But is it really going through a rough patch now? People tell me the construction contracts have frozen, workers aren't being paid. But the private sector doesn't want to sell to the government unless they're sure they're going to get their money.
I think there are hiccups on the way, and have been hiccups. But again, the steering wheel is sturdy and it's solid, and the government is committed. It's the first time we see in the emerging market world where the government is committed along with the private sector to change. The government has been paying its contractors. However, the economy has slowed down evidently because of low oil prices. But there has to be a plan, and Vision 2030 is the plan to take Saudi Arabia into the future.
And what about what it's like to live here? You're an expatriate. Is it really the kind of place where as soon as the weekend comes, you get in your car and drive to neighboring Dubai or Bahrain or fly to London?
Actually, I'm the opposite of that. I enjoy staying in Saudi Arabia. But even on that, on the soft elements of change, Saudi Arabia wants to make it an easier place to live in, to have people stay in Saudi and to enjoy entertainment. That's part of 2030 vision.
But that's hard too. They gave licenses for cinemas, and then the Grand Mufti said no. That's a depravity. We cannot have cinemas in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia because of our Islamic values.
Well, time will change, and I think time will tell whether society is with or without that particular element of entertainment. I think if you ask average Saudis, they will say that yes, we do want it, and at some point it will happen.
The skeptics I speak to say there's been plans before, they've never worked. Are you convinced this one will?
I'm convinced, because this is the chance. This is the time for Saudi Arabia to change, and if it doesn't change, more challenges will happen. This is the time where government is accountable, private sector is accountable, and it really has been a very dynamic 1 year and a half over the last 14 years I've never seen the changes take place in a short period of time. Saudi Arabia has to change now.
John Sakanakis, thank you very much for joining us. Indeed, some people describe this master plan, as ambitious as it is, as make or break. One successful Saudi businesswoman said to me, even if they achieve 30% of the plan, it will be good. But they're going to have to achieve something, or else that highly educated young generation of Saudis, they may well go everywhere and go elsewhere, and so goes the future of this kingdom.
Fascinating insights. Lise Doucet in Riyadh, thank you very much.